Hey, I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm your host, Scott.
Come on in and grab a seat.
Because you're hanging with us at the Barbershop.
We never grew up in a town like that, did we? Yeah.
So welcome to episode 5.
Oh my God, we've done it.
Very nice, eh? Pittering and pattering, getting her done.
Yes.
Big thanks to Andy for the editing. We were talking the other day. It's a little more time consuming than I thought it was. So we'll have to get our turn on the edit board and see how that goes.
You really don't have an appreciation for it until, you've asked your friend who's a 100% volunteer to come on board as a producer and he, without even batting an eye, yep, I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
And we're like, great. And then, 3 weeks later, so just want to check in with you and, hey, how are you feeling about taking on all that editing duties? Oh, fine.
It's all good.
So, about how long has it taken you to edit an episode? He's like, well, the 2-hour session we did last week, I've got about 10 hours into it.
I nearly picked my jaw up off the ground.
Yeah, you and me both.
Oh my God. And I mean, there definitely was some recording difficulties and a little bit of background noise in that one.
Yeah.
So there's a little more work. But then he's like, oh yeah, on the regular episodes, I'm probably in for 3 hours. And I'm like, oh my.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's crushing it. The episodes sound really good and we're excited to soon be uploading. So we'll
Andy, you're not here tonight physically, but I know you're here in spirit, and sir, you keep making us sound like angels.
A great job. So you had an adventure today.
I had a girls' day.
You hung out with the girls, did a little road trip to Brooklyn?
Baltimore.
Baltimore,
Ontario, just outside of Coburg, where we went and took part in a warehouse spa supply company.
Yes, something to that extent.
Yeah. I just was there to hold the boxes.
Nice. And you held them well?
I did.
Yeah?
I did.
Good. Well, that is exciting stuff. And you went for lunch?
Well, I wouldn't call it lunch because by the time we rolled out of there and realized that anything local was closed, we meandered our way back up to the Peter Patch and
thanks for the visit, by the way.
So that was actually on the table, but
my wife said, fuck that guy.
I don't want to throw her under the bus, but we were already past the turnoff we'd had to turn around to go back. I'm sure she would have.
Yeah.
But no, I was like, no, I'm going to see enough of him tonight.
Oh, there you go. And here I am with you.
That's right.
The bromance continues.
Yeah, buddy.
Nice. So tonight we've brought an acquaintance, a friend, that over the years, I'm sure you've seen him in Bob Cajun. I'm sure you've seen him at the Tim Hortons watching a video. Dave, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Good. That's excellent. I think that's...
Wait.
Yeah.
There are a select few people that come into Tim Hortons with their laptop and sit in the corner. Are you telling me that Dave is one of them?
Dave is the one.
Oh my. Okay.
Well, he's the only Dave that matters to me.
It's King Dave.
King Dave. That's what I said. I was joking with him. I said to the girls I was having you on, and they're all like, who? And he's like, oh, you have to say King Dave.
King Dave, poacher of Wi-Fi.
And I've come to, since we've talked about the podcast, and
sure.
Dave has been one of our vocal supporters and likers and button smashers.
Well, I'm telling you, I went from not knowing who he was to seeing his name everywhere. So on that, sir, I thank you very much.
That's
awesome.
Since we've gotten talking about this, I figured out what time Dave wakes up because occasionally I'm getting a message from him, probably when he's, got up, brushed his teeth, and then bam, Scott's getting a 6:45 message, and I'm like, oh, Dave's up. Michelle's like, is that okay? Is everything all right? I'm like, yeah, it's just Dave.
Yeah. Why is Dave texting me at 6:45 in the morning? Why is he thinking about me at that time?
Yeah. So that is obviously when your day gets going.
Yeah.
You're up, you're moving, and then usually I would say by about 7:30, because that's when I'm leaving town, you're settling in your old schedule, obviously, pre-COVID. You were settling in for your coffee and your snack or your breakfast and absorbing some free Wi-Fi at Timmy's.
Yeah, this COVID thing threw my schedule off completely. I can't do that anymore, so...
Right. Now
it's hit, but it's hit everybody.
Right.
Look at what we're doing here. If we didn't, I hate to say it, but I mean, as far as this goes, COVID's been a bit of a blessing because now we've got this pretty snazzy.
Yeah.
recording
Space.
Yeah. So.
Mood lighting.
Yeah.
Sweet.
There
That's
is that.
sweet.
Now, you've also been an early adopter of the ordering online as well at
Oh,
Tim's.
Absolutely.
And you just butt in front of everybody, walk over there and pick up your stuff.
Yeah, like this summer, I didn't ever wait. Lines at the door, but I just walk out. The looks on people's faces. He just walked right up there and just got his stuff. What's going on?
And you like their online presence, I guess?
It was atrocious at first. It would like send
I would
my
agree
order
with
to
that.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
It would, not put the order through, but now it's good. And I get a lot of free coffees. So
Right.
that's, what really
So do you
matters.
do you get more points when you do it online versus when I go up and just have them scan my card?
They have promotions because they're trying to get people to do it, right? So right now it's double points if you order mobile.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
When Kim and I were using, and we were using it last winter quite a bit because we would both be down here doing a lot of stuff. And when we went, we found that quite often you'd put in an online order and we would order stuff like, sandwiches and soups
Right.
and all that stuff. And you get there and find out, no, we don't actually have the thing you wanted.
oh yeah, yeah.
So then you're like, well, what do I do? Like, well, we can offer you something else. And I know from the other side of the counter, that was a big concern with the staff that they were having real trouble with that. So I don't know if that's changed at all. I know certainly living here in Bob Cajun that, there's only so much that they'll do in the off season for
Yeah.
the limited population, right?
Yeah, you got to order the stuff that they're going to have. Otherwise, it's hit and miss. But
Coffee and
yeah,
donuts.
I can't complain. It's good.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Awesome. Now here, I guess our kind of relationship started a lot of years ago, and our kids have played hockey
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
consistently, maybe a couple leapfrog years. But other
Yeah.
than that, I would say I probably met you at the arena.
Yeah, arena friends for sure. Winter, see you twice a week.
Yeah,
Summer,
yeah.
see you never.
Yeah,
Except
exactly.
at Tim's.
Yes. And I feel like, it slows me down. I got to have a little visit and see what's new because I haven't seen you since the ice got pulled out, right? So
yeah, exactly.
this has been a little different year. Are you just doing the drop off and run?
Yeah, and trying to come prepared with some stuff to do because I don't want to drive home and then drive back.
Right.
So,
Yes, because
Yeah.
our ice is only in Fenland.
yeah.
So no Bob Cajun ice.
No.
Maybe
No.
never again, I hear.
Yeah, I don't know, but
What, really?
It's a possibility, but
Mm,
I don't know. You'd think,
That's going to be a tough sell for the community.
yeah. It could just be. I mean, who knows, right?
yeah.
But
At
Yeah.
the end of the day, the Agricultural Society owns the building.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That makes a little more.
I think the city just maintains it and runs it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. They own the fairgrounds and all the buildings.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
right.
So do they own the trailer park that's in there as
Yep.
well? Oh, they do.
They
Okay.
do.
Good to know.
But so don't let them ever tell you.
Now that trailer park, it's different now, but when we were kids, we weren't allowed to hang out with any of the kids from that trailer park.
right?
'Cause they were like,
Oh, yeah.
they were from Toronto,
Rough kids.
and who knows what they were doing. So
I think
stay
Dave was
away from them.
Dave was the rough
Yeah.
kid.
Well, but of course that just made me want to
Yeah.
go and hang out with them more. Right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
ooh.
What are you doing over there? I mean,
Sorry, and I digress, but
oh,
No,
that's what we're about here.
Scotty and I growing up, 15 minutes down the road in Fenland Falls. I don't know about you, Scott, but I know like between the ages of say 13 and 15 or maybe 12 to 15, there were certain kids that you could count on that were going to be up every summer and you couldn't wait to see your summer friends.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, the new summer girls, what
Right.
girls are gonna be there.
No names, no pack drill.
No,
Yeah.
no names, but that was always interesting.
No, yeah,
Some of the
I
most
agree.
interesting people, absolutely. I have to tell you, but talking about girls from Toronto in the summer,
Yeah.
this is quick, but this is a good one. We're out partying somewhere, and there's all kinds of people around that we don't know, and we decide we're going to go somewhere, and this chick from Toronto that I had seen in the house earlier, she jumps in the car with us. I don't even know where we're going. Doesn't matter. And, this was a long time ago when it was, you jump in the car with your beer and we get pulled over by the cops. And this chick, without a hesitation, she's got this gigantic purse. She opens it up
Sure.
and she's like, put all your beers in my purse. And I'm like, are you
Oh,
serious?
wow.
And she's like, yeah. So we put all our bottles of beer in her purse on the side, like they're emptying in her purse. And the cop comes and it's like, no beer here. And he's flashing his flashlight. Nope. All right, well, on your way then, but go straight home.
Yeah.
Man, that chick was the coolest ever. She just like drained, it out kind of without the contents leaving. And then I never saw her again.
Wow. There you go.
But she was like the cool chick from Toronto.
You've got a story to tell.
Yeah, exactly.
When it's all said and done.
I mean, who does that?
Well, Beer Fairy.
Yeah.
Thank you wherever you are.
Yes.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Now here, I was joking with Michelle the other day, and I know you do sort of a more technical job, Dave, but I actually don't know what you do. When you grew up, it's not like you're a plumber or you work retail. You kind of like, you're a work from home. You're an internet guy, are you not?
Yeah, well, now I am, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I sell, basically right now, I sell pet supplies online.
Cool.
Yeah. Because, pets, people buy a lot of pet stuff.
They're an essential service.
Yeah, that's right.
That never stopped.
Yeah. So are you a drop shipper or do you carry an inventory?
No, we carry a small inventory. We have 5 SKUs only.
Okay.
We sell mostly right now flea and tick products that are made with natural ingredients. So we sell to a particular segment of the population who's interested in that.
Right.
And we carry.
We might have to talk about that offline.
Yeah.
Well, it's always funny, right? Because it's like, I know you're busy.
Yeah,
and
what do you do?
Oh, right. And it's just in this day and age, you can have that ability to not have a bricks and mortar job.
Yeah.
And kind of do an eclectic sort of, I log in, I log out, I check, and I hit some buttons, and I make sure I check reviews and that the orders are filled, and it's and I mean, right, we live in Bobcaygeon, which, I mean, ideally, if you're not in the tourist section or you're working a retail job here, you're commuting somewhere to work. So it's kind of cool that you can have that ability and still be in Bobcaygeon.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's totally amazing. I don't have to go anywhere most of the time. Like, I don't even have to drive to the city or anything. I used to have to do that when I did some consulting work. Now I can just be at home on the water and it's awesome.
Annoying your wife 24/7.
Yeah. I'm just fixated on the idea that you only have 5 SKUs because I would kill to have only 5. Oh my God.
Yeah, but there's a lot of pressure to sell a lot of those 5 SKUs.
But I'm thinking you sell 5 things, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's bulk, it's volume based.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would have to be, I suppose. I mean, if you're selling direct to consumer. So
yeah,
I'm a bad pet owner.
Why?
Because I go to the veterinary and she tells me I should be taking care of flea and tick, and I buy it for X amount of time. I never do the
topical treatment, or are you?
Yeah, the little drop behind their head.
All right.
Sure.
And I kind of take care of that. I think I've done the snacky thing too. I've done the little pill that they're supposed to eat, and I struggled with that. And then I did the topical one.
It's a struggle, is it?
Yeah, well, our dogs are assholes.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've got one that probably would eat anything, and the other one has gotten to the point where he's like, he knows. It doesn't matter if I wrap it in bacon or peanut butter. He's somehow it's right.
Yep.
And boop, out it falls.
Yep.
So, and then, I did the topical thing, and you do it for a while, and you run out, and you're like, oh, that's another trip to the vet. And as I say, you probably can do it where it's auto-fill, right? That I order it, and I get X amount, and then I've got another. Everybody seems to do, you can do that with everything, right? It's like you can do that with razors now, you can do that with toothbrushes, you can do it with almost anything, right? And they know your habits, and I
think when you go to your veterinarian, though, there's a pressure for them to sell.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, at least in a direct sales capacity, I mean,
people are coming to you.
They want it or they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the vets and the drugs that they sell there are often the same. It's one of the markets we're looking to get into. It's often the exact same as the human version, but they cost 10 times what humans would pay for it, right?
I've told my wife that a bunch of times, like I worked in healthcare for a little over a decade.
Right.
And I knew that a lot of the medications, like, human Benadryl is dog Benadryl, and
that's right.
And human Gravol is dog Gravol, right? So it's like, hey, because when you work in healthcare, it's all by weight, and it's like, well, how much does the dog weigh? And then you start doing the drug calculations. It's, so what are you doing? I'm giving the dog Gravol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you know what the dose, like that's all it is, getting the dose right. And
That's right.
If you know what the dose is, it's all good. So there's a big market there potentially to fulfill, but there's lots of regulatory crap in the way.
Right. Well, people love their animals. I mean, you can get healthcare for your
You can
animal.
buy pet insurance, for sure.
Oh yeah.
That's a big business too.
Oh,
Indeed. Yeah.
but it's funny too because everybody's a different sort of pet. Are you even a pet owner, Dave?
I have a cat.
A cat.
Which I thought I would never have a cat, but we're a little challenged because my wife has fairly severe allergies to a lot of animals, and most dogs are really bad, but we never really knew whether she was that allergic to cats. But Levi always wanted a cat, or no, a dog or a cat, anything.
Something.
Right, and we put it off, and then we got this kitten, and it turns out that she's not really that allergic to it. She's great. Like, I didn't think cats were as good as they are. Like, they clean up after themselves.
Yeah.
They bury their own excrement. It's like unbelievable. I can't believe I'm talking about it. But
I think the only thing you ever, if they're a hunter or they're an outside, they some cats enjoy bringing back, like, look what I killed for you. And
right.
you get mice or rats or birds or whatever.
Oh, we got rabbits when we were kids.
Rabbits?
Yeah.
That's a big cat.
Yeah, in our in our neighborhood, my family was notoriously known as the cat house because we had 5.
Oh, really?
Pretty much all the time, and they were all indoor-outdoor cats, and the 2 males were notorious for bringing stuff home. So, like, wow. I'm not kidding when I think, oh wow, the cat brought home a rabbit. Yeah. Of course, the first time I found out was when my mother was like, Wes, I want you to go downstairs and go into the cold room and go into the big freezer, because there was a fridge and a large chest freezer. Go in and get me some kind of meat. And I'm like, okay, where is it? And she's like, it's in the white bag on the right hand side. Not realizing that the rabbit that the cat had brought home had gone in there to be disposed of later. And that's where I discovered, oh, look, the cats are hunters.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
Well, right? Yeah. They very much are, right?
Yeah.
Well, she hasn't gone outside yet, but she did catch a mouse in the house, which I was happy about.
Right?
It's like, sweet.
And you're like, right, go home and tell all your mouse friends not to come to my house.
That's right.
Yeah,
go to Scott's house.
There's a cat there.
That cat's just earned its keep forever. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But we discussed that I think at this table there's cat lovers there. When we had the girls on a couple episodes ago, and we discussed dog or cat.
Right.
And I love my wife enough. I said I would go on Benadryl for the rest of my life if she wished to have a cat. But she's kind enough to not take me up on that offer.
So you're not allergic to dogs, but you're allergic to cats.
I'd have slit for eyes, and I would be
isn't that weird?
Snotty, and I'd be dying, and it would just be like, I'm okay.
I think you're a rarity. Like a lot of people have those sensitivities. It's like it's never like cat or dog. It's like the generic pet dander,
right?
Like,
no, I do pretty good with the dogs. I'm also allergic to cleaning.
Yeah.
I like to say I don't do very well with dust.
Sure.
So every time I try, I go to the garage and I sweep up all the garage stuff, or I go to the basement. I'm like, I am done for the day. I'm all stuffy. And Michelle always
does she buy that?
Man, the proof is in the pudding. I look like a sack.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, I think she still thinks what did you do? Do you pick it up and rub it into your eyes just so you can get out? But yeah,
I sprayed myself with bear spray.
Yeah, but
so I can get out of it.
I do okay. I do all right. So the other thing we were talking on one of our many Tim Hortons morning conversations, Dave. I think this is where a lot of our conversations are going to go tonight. You were talking about that you were maybe brewing some XXX closet wine. So was that a failed experiment?
No,
or was that was
a surprisingly good outcome for that experiment. There's this crazy comedian called Catfish Cooley, I think. Catfish Cooley.
I know Catfish
Cooley.
Do you know?
Yes, I do. Yeah, he's pretty funny.
He is funny.
And he makes a lot of videos. And somebody sent me, James, I think, sent me a bunch of videos by him. And one of them was closet wine.
Closet wine.
And he shows, how you make it. And I'm thinking it's all just a big joke, right? But I'm watching him. And he's got the big thing of grape juice, which is $3 or $2. and he drinks some out of it and dumps in a half a cup of sugar and puts some yeast in, and then he puts it in his closet. What? You can ask me later why the closet. And I'm thinking, that could work. So that day I went and got my grape juice, and I did it all. And it turned out to be like drinkable wine. And I won't say where I took it, but I took it and shared it around with a few people. And
not for profit, right?
No, not for profit,
so,
no.
Right, exactly. So I think that's totally
so
legal.
It's allowed, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And, a few people really liked it. Jerry loved it. And he's like, how do you make it? Tell me how to get the ingredients. I got to make that at home. But, it was totally drinkable. Let's just say that the whole batch was completely drank by other people. Yeah.
Well, very good. Did you ever figure out what your alcohol content was?
No, I tried to buy
folks
something.
Drink a lot of wine. Cheap, expensive. What I'm about to show you tastes just as good as any wine ever out there. So
Good old Catfish, eh?
See,
that is
maybe
it.
Wondering why I call it closet wine. Well,
Closet
this is
wine.
where I store it so it can ferment in my closet, and it's so easy that you can truly make it in the closet. What you do is,
Oh my
get your cup,
gosh.
you pour you about a cup or a glass. Get your glass, pour you about a glass full. And
Oh
go
my
ahead, you
God.
can
And the
drink
banjo
that,
in the
get out your
background.
bottle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gotta have a little sip, taste the
Yeah.
grape juice.
Yeah, taste the
Oh
grape
my
juice first,
gosh.
because you got to make room to put in the half cup of sugar, right?
Right. You got to take some of the
So,
volume
yeah.
out. So it ferments in the closet,
Yeah.
in the
And-
dark.
Yep, that's right. And it's unlike, you have to just set the lid on the top, otherwise it'll blow. So
Yes.
you've got to put it somewhere where it's not going to get disturbed. The top shelf
Sure,
in the
sure.
closet.
Right.
It's the perfect place.
I think my closet would not function like that. We check a lot of stuff in our closet.
So I mean that video is not a very long. It's like a 6-minute video, but like fermentation process. How long are we talking here?
I think 2 weeks. I think I left it for 2 weeks.
So, did you actually? Did you try it?
Yeah.
It
You know what? It was like a good, cheap wine
Okay,
is what it tasted like. Like, it's not the best wine I've ever had. It was
Right.
like,
good enough to put in a box.
if you drink wine out of a box, like,
Ugh.
before they start putting good, now they kind of put a few good
Right.
wines in box.
That's
But
true.
back in the day, if you were drinking wine out of a box, it was basically closet wine.
Right.
Wow,
There you go.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah.
So you did that experiment. It worked, and then other people have asked you for your advice, and they're doing whatever
I'm pretty
they're
sure
doing.
Jerry's drinking a lot of closet wine
Right.
because he was pretty excited about it. He loved it. He drank half the bottle, I think.
I was talking to my wife and she's like, so what are you guys doing tonight? And I said, well, Scott's bringing a friend, Dave. And she's like, okay, well, what's Dave's story? I'm like, well, there's something about closet wine. And she's like, are you sure you're not talking prison wine? Because
You
that's
know,
made in a toilet,
prison
right?
wine.
Like I would tell you, in
No.
talking to people, I had 3 or 4 people like, the stuff you brew in a toilet?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. She says, well, that sounds like what you're doing. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, that's a
It's-
different guest. That's
Yeah.
not. I'm
Yeah.
not making toilet wine.
No.
But it might follow the same basic rules, right?
It might. They just don't have a container other than the toilet to brew it in.
Right.
Oh my Lord.
But oh.
Yeah, living in Gen Pop and don't pee in my toilet.
Yeah, I'm brewing wine in
brewing.
there.
Too bad, motherfucker. I gotta go.
Yeah.
You ruined my last batch of wine.
You got something else now, son?
Oh, that's terrible.
Quick side note: if you enjoy Catfish Cooley, you must look at Ginger Billy.
Ginger Billy.
Ginger Billy.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Ginger Billy is a good, funny guy.
Cool. Yeah.
Follows the same banjo in the background, kind of.
Very much so.
Yeah,
those
are
Does
good.
some real good down home Southern, hospitality videos that are just to die for.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, this is actually a good question for both of you
Sure.
because I am not a storage unit kind of guy.
Oh, hit me with it. I got a couple.
And because it's a small town and Dave drives a vehicle that I can recognize, and I was driving away from my domicile one day, and I saw Dave running from the storage unit with a couple of lawn chairs.
Was
So-
I running? Was
Well,
I
you seem
making
to
a
be-
getaway?
You seem to be in a rush.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay,
obviously
okay.
Dave does not store his lawn chairs at home, or not all of them.
No.
So is this a lack of storage space, gentlemen? Because I know, Wes, you use storage units.
Storage, yeah.
But
Well,
you've got, so you've got,
we're a
you've
little bit
added
of we're a little
households.
bit of a different. Yeah. So when I moved back to Bob Cajun and I got together with my now wife, she was paying for a storage unit that I just could not fathom why she was paying for it. Mind you, she never let me see what was in it for the first couple of years of our relationship.
That's her shit.
Well, that's smart.
Right.
That's smart.
But it's like, you've got a garage. So I moved into my wife's house.
Yeah.
When I sold my house and moved back to the area. So I'm like, you've got a full garage. Why are you paying for a storage unit? She's like, well, you know, there's some of my mom's stuff and there's some of the kids' stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, why? Are these people deceased? No. Okay, so why aren't they coming to get their stuff? Well, they just kind of left it, and I just haven't gotten around to doing anything with it. So it got to the point where it was like, okay, we're going to deal with this. And we got rid of the storage unit.
Wow.
And we were storage unit free.
For how long?
5 years.
There you go.
Until this year.
And now you have a storage
Now
unit.
you're back.
Well, so we pay for one, but we have access to two.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's just space and it's big stuff, and you've got some unique situations where you've gotten some extra furniture and things like that. So I mean, it would never fit in your household.
No, there's a plan though. Like ideally, I would like to get rid of the one that we're paying for, but that requires, as you know, going through the balance of my mother's estate to make sure that that's all dealt with properly.
I could be there that day with the purge siren. And
there's part of me that's like, advertise it as a yard sale, roll the door up, and just collect the money, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But you know what you should do? Advertise it as get a pair of bolt cutters.
Yeah.
And be like, we don't know what's in this.
Oh yeah,
like do an auction,
right. That's
cut
right.
your own lock off.
Yeah.
And like,
it's all or nothing.
I could like hide in the background, and be like, yep, and I'll drive the bid up. And if I accidentally win it, we'll just do it again the next weekend because I don't want your stuff.
Perfect. Maybe we can auction mine off too.
So Dave,
I don't have a garage.
Okay.
Right. So, and I have a shed, but that's like my kind of work shop.
Right.
So I don't have a place to put all that stuff. So, and being on the water, we have a lot of summer crap, and it just goes in the storage unit. So I just hadn't gotten those chairs out yet, and all of a sudden it was like, we need the chairs. So that's probably why I was running.
Maybe. Don't you love living in a small town and people are in your fucking business?
Oh, what's Dave got in the storage unit?
But it's funny because, you know, we did our last episode, we had a young lady from Peterborough come in, a new photographer, and we were talking to her about, you know, sort of her business, and we asked her about, you know, do you have studio space? And she's like, well, I'm so new in the business that I don't have my own studio yet. And the mention of a storage unit came up, and it was like, you know, the people are doing with storage units these days, like they're running businesses out of them. It never occurred to me that is actually a real thing. But like you said before, Scott, it's cheaper than paying for a commercial property.
Heat and power.
Yeah.
Guy I work with does some Marwood drums. Before he had his space on Rye Street, he was renting a heated powered unit, and he was doing some manufacturing in it, right? And it was working really well for him.
Cool.
But and
would an insurance company even cover you for that?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, in some case, depending on what you're doing, it can. And the reason I know this is because I almost got into a deal with a guy that I know lives in the suburbs.
I thought you were going to say lives in the storage unit.
No, but
don't kid yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I went to visit him one weekend, and I was amazed by how all the men on the street were all like opened up their garage door, and they're all hanging out in their garage door, and then kind of some of them are making their way from garage to garage, having a beer. And
were you in Brampton?
No, I was in Mississauga.
Okay, and that's very big in Brampton.
Well, so I'm like, dude, this is weird and really lame. He's like, well, yeah, but we can't drive anywhere because, like, then somebody has to be a designated driver. And so we talked about, he called me a little bit later about, hey, why don't we turn some storage units into, like, man caves and fit them out kick-ass? And then guys can go to that, and you just need, like, one vehicle to bring them or whatever.
Or you could Uber.
Yeah.
Share an Uber.
Exactly.
Oh, down there you totally could.
Yeah.
Because they can't make that, so they're just in their shitty garage. And so we looked into it, and it looked like it could be pretty profitable, but we could not get any insurance if there was going to be consumption of alcohol. Even,
that makes sense.
Even privately.
For sure.
Yeah, so it fell apart there. But
Yeah.
As I say, I envy you both. I've been in my current home. I built my current home, and
Yeah.
I have never parked my car in my garage.
Now, I've been in your garage at a couple of different occasions.
Yep.
And depending on the season, there's a different pathway in and out every time.
There is. We've redone it. We've put some COVID lockdown. We've brought out some of our gym equipment.
Yeah.
And we've got currently a setup and hockey bags at the front of the garage. I don't know where I'm going to put the snowblower. So we might get a redo here shortly because it's getting cold out.
Yeah.
Because usually the snowblower comes from the back shed to the garage for easy access.
Yeah, because it's going to get used.
Yeah. But now with the rejig of the garage, I may or may not have kind of stymied myself with my space for the snowblower. But hopefully I'll get it figured out.
Maybe you need a storage unit, man.
And this is right. This is almost why I brought it up, right? Because then, now it's on air and now I've talked about it.
Oh, now it's real.
Maybe it's real. Yeah, and I don't know. Or I need
Do you or don't you?
I need to purge more stuff. I got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I hear you on that one. And actually, that's kind of worked out in my favor. This is horrible, horrible circumstances. But like, not only do we have, so I should say again, we got rid of the storage unit.
Yes.
And we started using the garage. And then it's like, well, I started to do some landscaping at the back, with the intention of I was going to put a shed out there, and then there's no shed. And so one of the first projects my wife and I tackled, jointly was, okay, we're going to put a shed in the backyard. But I mean, the ground that we live on is by no means level, and there's a pretty steep grade. So we're like, we got to put it on at least on a platform.
Right.
And in my, infinite wisdom, pure sarcasm, by the way, we build this thing out of just plain spruce and, regular plywood.
I've seen the results.
Yeah. So
they're sad.
10 by 14 steel shed on this platform. And it's like, oh, look at that. 1 year later, not even a year, the following spring, just poor construction and the frame gave out. So now I've got the contents of this shed, which is a lot of personal stuff from the kids, right? So there's the kids, like baby clothing and like real sentimental stuff. Kim's overflow for the hair salon, which included like 2 commercial dryer chairs and a bunch of other stuff.
Right.
Well, 50% of the contents of that shed just went to the dump in the last month.
Man.
Because of the the conditions of the shed, right? And us struggling with what do we do? How do we repair this? Do we attempt to salvage it?
Sometimes it's good, like, right, as you say, like, you keep it and it means something to you, but as soon as it's sort of damp or moldy, it's like, okay.
The decision is made for you. Yeah.
And it helps you go. And I mean, right?
Yep.
It can be sad, but I mean, right, it's still memories and you still got them and, you move on.
There is that. And I know, like, on some level, I know that there's a mask there for her where she's like, she's putting on the front where it's like, well, I needed to get rid of it anyway. And while there's some truth to that, it doesn't take away the pain that went with it, right?
No, but right. It's
but we have
good.
a plan. So
and you move forward and,
Yeah. So
it's like everything. I hate getting rid of my stuff too, but then you look at it and you're like, I can't even remember. Here's a great story. So when my parents sold their house in Fenland,
one on Francis Street.
Nope, the one down near Cove Road.
Okay.
So post kids.
Oh yeah.
I never lived in that house.
Okay.
So and my dad was selling the business. He owned the hardware store. So like any hardware store, they send a lot of the sundries or the small stuff in totes. So those totes have a cost to them. So they know that they've sent to Brandon Home Hardware, we've sent you 52,000 totes and you've sent back 51 222, right? Yeah. So right, and when you're selling a business, that's part of your right. There's a cost to those totes, and you need to tally them up, and you need to either pay for them and create a zero balance before you sell the business. And I mean, I'm guilty. I still have some Home Hardware totes in my house. Please don't come and take them or sue me. But I mean,
I'm sure the statute is up on that.
They are awesome storage bins, and at the time, I claim that they're still free because sure as shit, I didn't pay for them.
No.
And my dad, a lot of years, they were avid campers and portagers, and they stored camping equipment.
Yeah.
And they stacked, and they were awesome.
Yep.
So he gets in this big panic because they're selling, and he's like, all the totes have to go back. We got too many totes. So, right, bought Rubbermaid containers
as a substitute.
Right? He still owned a hardware store. So, whatever, cost plus 10, whatever they cost him. But they weren't free. And
I bet you they were more expensive than you might think.
The Rubbermaid totes?
No.
The totes.
The home hardware.
The home hardware.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. And I think that was the shocking thing when you start to go. They're like, why the hell are we using these? These are costing us like $42.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So, right, he does this purge, the cleaning out. I have been out of their house 5 years, 6 years. Right. I'm in a full relationship with Michelle. I'm living with Michelle.
Yeah.
I might even be married with Michelle. And my mom's telling this story of, your dad got all antsy and all the home hardware bins have gone back to the hardware store. And I'm like, oh, shit. And she's like, and we found one with stuff that belonged to you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
the famous, you need to come get your stuff.
Yeah. And she's like, I didn't really look at it, but I put it in a box for you and I would like it out of my house.
Yes, mother.
Yeah. So over the years, in between high school and college, and remembering that when we were young men, the internet did not exist.
No, and that shit was expensive.
Thank God.
So if you wish to have pornography, you had magazines and you had VHS, maybe the DVDs if you were a fancy kid. So my mother found my porn stash and proceeded to move it from a hardware tote to a
Your
brown.
poor mother. Was it sticky still?
No. I hope
you're missing the best part of this though. Like, you got to tell them like what quantities we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It was a tote. I mean, it was a lot. It was,
of
it
what?
Was,
of what?
Of maybe like, maybe there was even stuff with like.
You can't tell the story without telling the garbage man story on top of it.
That's a follow up. That's a follow up. So right. There's the the 4XL. Not only was it not triple X, it was 4X. That's how dirty it was. And man. Right, it was Juggaloos, and it was terrible. But I mean, at that time, you bought what you could buy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And some of it was, hand-me-downs of
video
some other,
store discards.
Yeah, some other guy was like, I can't have this. My girlfriend's moving in. I'll be like, and I was that
I'll
guy.
Take it off your hands.
I was that guy for 100%. I was that guy. I'd be like, well, don't throw it out.
Yeah, my goodness. What are you doing?
That's got some sort of value to it. And I mean, so proceeded to go to my mom's house, pick up the box, kind of held my head down and be like, I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it, right? And she's trying to have a conversation. I'm like, nope. We're just, I'm going to get it out of the house. The problem's done. So then I bring it home and Michelle's like, what's that?
Oh no.
And I'm like,
surprise.
It's my porn stash. And she's like, oh my gosh. So as any young man knows, when you bought a VHS tape, the packaging was not the size of a VHS tape.
No, it was gigantic.
It was
huge.
Gigantic.
It was like,
I don't know why. Why was that?
I think because ideally
idea.
it was advertising. It was how you sold the video, because
right.
then you put the
big
pictures.
box.
So then they'd take screen clips and that would be on the outside, and that's how they got the 4Xs.
They did the same thing with compact discs in the 80s. The compact disc, the length of the packaging.
Yeah, you're right.
They were huge. It was like an 11-inch, like a piece of paper long.
So I proceeded to, you going through the bin, you're like, well, man, if I just went and bought like secondhand VHS cassette tape holders.
Oh, yeah.
This would,
like the jewel cases.
Yeah. It would take way less space. So I converted it all to those.
And you threw out those boxes with all the pictures of the big...
Dude, I put it in the recycling because it's paper. Because I care about the environment.
Well, that's good.
And
right to the curb.
You should have seen. And then I put the black plastic cases in the plastic. And I think that's back when they collected on the same day for both paper and plastic, not like the leapfrog system we've got now. And you should have seen those garbage guys. They were so happy. And they were like, and the one
this
guy.
This is the best garbage in a week.
And it's like the guy that hops off the back picks it up and he's like, he picks one up and then he's waving at the guy that's driving, right?
That's
and he
awesome.
Actually got out. He comes back and they're like, I think they're looking for the tape.
They're like, where are the tapes? Damn it!
And no tapes.
Oh, man.
But yeah, maybe I'll take a picture of the offending box because I believe that's all still maybe hiding out at my house underneath my steps. Maybe we'll take a picture of that and put it up on the socials once this episode is posted, and everyone can share in my shame.
I feel bad for those garbage men. You got them so excited and then let them down.
I'm sure the rest of their day was just, it's like, right, opening up your lunch and being like, oh, tuna fish.
Yeah, exactly. You think it's going to be pizza.
Great, another peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah. But that's my tote story, and the cleaning. So, right, if I had a storage unit.
Yeah, it could have just gone straight there.
Right,
it would
storage.
never have been an issue, but I don't. So thus, hang my head in shame.
One day.
So the question I have for you now is, do you still have a working VCR?
I do. Well,
oh yeah, you don't?
Oh my God, no.
Really?
We've abandoned that technology a few years ago. Yeah.
I think too, because our kids, now I'll be honest, nothing has been put into that, maybe other than the granddaughter's fingers. And,
Well, maybe those tapes need a send off.
You first get them I think you should take them to Costco.
Oh my
get
God,
them
and
to transfer
preserve them
to
for
DVD.
posterity.
Yeah, I hear you do. There's a guy down off of George Street that converts, right?
There you go.
He's like, yo, dude, I got some memories I need put on
Yeah.
the DVD.
Memories. I started in those, man.
Yeah. Oof.
This one's over 20 years old. It's in the public domain.
Yeah. Oh,
That's right.
Crazy. Oh, but yeah, it's interesting, right? I've had, right? That's one of the things we probably need to purge, because I don't even know if, right, we have a VCR, the power turns on, but I don't think we've put a tape in it in a decade.
Interesting. People still have them and use them and like them. I mean, certainly it's kind of a niche collector market now, but last VCR rolled off the line, it's got to be 3 years ago or more.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember it was a big news item.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're talking about it. I mean, are they still being produced like in other, like Mexico? Are they being produced in Mexico?
No, this was the thing. Like,
This
it was the
was
last.
done.
Yeah.
Done.
Just like the last of the classic Beatles rolled off the line in Mexico.
That's so funny. I was thinking
this
that.
year.
A
Last
while
year?
ago, I thought.
It's recent though.
Yeah, within the last 3 to 5.
Yeah. In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. But yeah. Anything else exciting, Dave? Other than I bring up another Timmy's morning conversation?
Not a lot recently, because
Yeah,
there's
with
just
your-
not a lot going
Right.
on.
Your
I'm not
lockdown was good,
seeing
though?
People.
Your
It
bubble
wasn't
small?
too bad because I'm used to not, being out that much and seeing a ton of people working at home. But I did start to feel a little bit crazy, but it wasn't a big deal. And compared to what some people had to go through, it was not a big deal.
I mean, I think here in Bob Cajun, I mean, it was pretty simple. And, as you say, it wasn't a big change. And I mean, right, we're in a small town anyway, so it didn't change a whole lot for a lot of people. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm naive to it, but I mean, didn't change my sleeping in schedule. I got to do a little bit more.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
it added some anxiety and some pressure to me.
And Levi managed through. So
Yeah, he got hit more because
Right.
he's a very
Social.
social kid, and being cooped up the way he was, that he was going a little stir crazy. I was really happy when he could finally
So he
spend
opted-
some time with a few friends.
Yes, and he opted to go back.
Yeah,
So he's
absolutely.
back. How did he
Absolutely.
do with his online learning at the tail end of last year?
Not well. We
No, ideally-
got him through it, and
Yes.
he did what he needed to do. But
Because ideally, your mark was not going down. They did not
No.
penalize you. If
they
you
told them that, though, which was the dumbest thing.
I
He's
agree.
like, well,
Yeah.
why do I need to do it? My mark won't go down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thanks.
So yeah, well, Georgia, and I mean the teachers she had and the courses she was taking, they were very understanding. And as things progressed, and she started her summer job, and she was starting to find that she was getting busy. She talked to her English teacher, and she's like, I'm kind of finding that I'm running out of time, and I'm busy with work because they've called me back.
Right.
And the guy's like, well, don't worry about your culminating task because you've got a good mark. And you know what? I really appreciate your candor with me, and have a great summer.
Right.
And she was like,
Oh, cool.
Later, bitches.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to imagine though, like the people on the other end of that, what kind of pressures that they're facing, you know, at the board level, and these teachers are probably whatever.
Well, especially going into it.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job, and I think they did what they could do, and they dealt with the cards they were dealt with.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that.
I'm not sure if I'm the back to school here in September.
Well,
whatever. You know what? I think they're learning a little bit. I kind of giggle that, George's bio teacher has been teaching co-op for 5 years and has not done a biology class. But you know what? She seemed to learn some stuff, and I looked at her notes, and I'm like, that seems like biology. And away you go, right?
But that happens more than you know.
Probably
like,
perceive.
phys ed teachers teaching math and it's surprising how often that happens.
At the end of the day, they all have the credentials to teach.
Yes.
Wes and I kind of were joking.
We had
huge. That we could have, at the end of the day, it's starting to sound like they're more like instructors. And I'm like, well, I have my instructor's certificate.
And I have my primary leadership qualification from the military.
Well, so, I mean, I could be instructing online. I could be molding young minds.
I could be instructing in class.
Could you imagine
Good morning.
In,
my name is Master Corporal R. Scott.
And
in this period, you will learn.
They would eat you alive. You know that, right? They'd be like, oh, you be that teacher, like you'd be like Murchison. And they'd be whipping rubbers at you.
You guys know Murchison?
Of course. He was still teaching when we were there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So how old are you guys? Because... I don't know. What's the difference between your age and my age is what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm the older.
Had a birthday.
I'm the older of the two of us. I'm at 46.
Okay.
And I'm 45. By the way, buddy, happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
I don't think I said it on air.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Oh, thank you very much. It was a good
And you're
one
a little older, Dave.
Yeah, I'll be 54 in November.
You're already over the hump.
Yeah, I'm over
Dave,
the hump.
where did you go to school in Venland?
Yep.
You did. So
I did. I thought Murchison would have blown out by the time you guys got there.
It's funny, right? You think everyone says I'm the one that ruined him, but he was still teaching.
Sorry, 54?
Yeah.
54, so you're 2 years older than my brother. So you would have been at school the same year as my brother.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't know. Who's your brother?
Mark R. Scott.
And it's all a little
we're
bit
not
of a
here to talk
blur
about
me,
him anyway.
There was too many, girls with big purses in cars.
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling them now? Big purses?
Yeah. And my brother definitely did not have anything to do with that.
Oh, okay. But then I didn't know him.
There's a guy that, wonderful man.
Who are you talking about?
Murchison.
Oh, yes. Mr. Murchison.
What was his first name?
Oh, my Lord. I used to deliver his newspaper. Yeah. I should know this.
You know what? And having a business in
Mister.
Finland, dealt with him lots at the hardware store. So good customer.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's just there's definitely he had a little tweak of differentness to him, and as a child, you sense that and you dig right in and eat him alive.
Like if this makes you feel any better, like we've been through the yearbooks at your place quite a few times.
So it's a good laugh.
We dug out my mother's yearbooks, and if you go back, Bill Craig. Yeah. Bill Craig was at the high school when my mother was a student.
Right. Well, Farini probably would have been too.
Tony.
Yeah.
Quite possibly, yeah.
He's a long fixture, right?
Yeah. Same with Gord.
Funny. Yeah. And we've talked about Matt Gownlock.
Yeah.
He's been there a lot of years. But a lot of the guys we had, you would have had.
Yeah, for sure.
Even being a decade ahead. A decade, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
Almost. A decade ahead.
Yeah.
How old does that make you feel?
I don't feel like
our
that,
children
but when I think of the numbers, it's like, holy
and our children
shit.
are the same age.
I know. That's bizarre. Well, we started a little late, so we had shit to do.
Right. That's a very interesting conversation, right? And Levi's at a good age now. You can leave him at home. But I often laugh because, as you go to the arena and you reconnect with people that you haven't seen in a long time.
Yes.
And people you went to high school with, and they're in different points in their life.
Right.
And this is where, I'm already a grandfather. I've got a 22-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a soon-to-be 16-year-old. And you look at this people and they're like, man, your oldest child is my youngest child. And you're the same age.
Yeah.
And you've got two more younger. I'm like, fuck, you're going to be tired.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, right, running around like Joe was not a napper this weekend.
No.
And I was exhausted.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
come on, just you and Grandpa will go upstairs. We'll have a nap. It'll be good. It'll be
Yeah,
good
he was
time.
having no part of the
Yeah,
nap
she's
thing.
like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm not. And she's kind of like, right. And then I've been trying this thing where I lay her down in the crib
Yeah.
and I go lay in bed, but I leave the door open so she can see
She can see you.
that I have my eyes closed.
And does it
Is
work?
that working?
She's a pretty independent child, and sometimes she's pretty good and just kind of gibbers and jabbers. And
Or it
talks
works
to
for you
herself.
and that she's contained and you can still just leave your eyes closed.
Yes.
Yeah, at least you're horizontal. That's the main thing.
But yeah, it makes me laugh. But yeah, now Levi's not. Is he 16?
Yes.
How
in
long?
June.
Oh, June. So has he gotten his license?
Yeah, he's got his license and he's been terrifying me in the car.
And how's that? So
I'm
really,
just really like I always drive, and I hate being a passenger to begin with. So then to have him driving with me as a passenger, it's like I believe I'm gonna die every time I get in the car. Which he's not a bad driver in the grand scheme of things, but I just feel very out of control.
right. It's funny because Wes the other day, I pulled in my son's car. We were going axe throwing, and they all looked at me because I was driving Ethan's car, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I wasn't a very good passenger this morning," and I really felt like my anxiety was up, and I'm like, "Man, you're going way too fast to go into that corner," and I'm like, I feel like I need to drive his car and get an appreciation for how it feels.
That's a good point.
And Ethan even said with me driving home, he's like, wow, this side really does feel different
It
than
does.
the driver's
For
seat.
sure it does.
And I'm like, I think that's my problem. And I don't want to be that guy that's overly critical.
But if you're used to, like, do you 99% of the time you drive, right?
Michelle is the driver in our relationship.
Really?
Yes.
So you're used to being a passenger,
Yes.
but you just couldn't handle it in
Not
his
with,
car.
Not with him in his
Okay.
car.
Huh.
I think I'm too connected to that, or he makes me nervous, or I don't think he's a good driver subconsciously.
At the same time, though, you've got way more experience as a passenger with your wife
Yes.
than you do with him.
And she's
Yeah,
mint.
that's true.
She's 100%.
Well, this is it.
She's a bus driver, for heaven's sake.
Right. So, I mean, that's
exactly, Dave.
we had
That's
this
what we've talked
conversation,
about.
whereas
Yeah.
your wife is a professional driver and your son is not. And I was talking to Ethan that
Yep.
night, and he was sort of saying how you were having some problems. And I'm trying to be like tactful. I'm like, well, maybe it's because your dad's used to, having his hands on the wheel, and it can be anxious for people that who
Yeah.
don't drive or
It
who
can be
do
hard.
drive.
It can be hard.
Yeah.
So now, have you committed to be the teacher versus Mary?
No, but I'm usually the one that's in the car with him.
Right.
So it just turns out to be me. But I'm hoping that they're going to get him out and like he did that driver training, right?
Right.
So I'm hoping that that's going to happen soon, so she can be the one who's terrified with him and teach him how to drive. Because the difference is, like we were talking about this the other day, Mary and I, that like we both grew up on farms. We drove tractors, we drove trucks and everything all around our 100-acre farmland.
You had an understanding of the
when we were
nuance.
12 or
Yep.
10, we started doing that, right?
I lack that, and that still makes
Yeah.
me nervous
Well,
as a learner.
Having an
Four-wheelers scare
appreciation
the
for
shit
that.
out of me.
Yeah.
Snowmobiles scare the shit out of me. Even when I began driving, I was nervous.
Okay, so when you started driving, had you really
No.
ever driven before?
No,
Right.
I was
so
a
we've
townie.
driven for years.
Yeah.
So we already knew how to drive. And I'm saying he's never driven. He doesn't have a clue. We have to actually teach him. You can't just put him in the car and say, okay, drive.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know all the rules and the things
The
that
nuance,
we
right?
just take for granted.
So we've been allowing Georgia to like back down the driveway at her grandma's and things like that. And it's,
That's a good driveway to practice.
Oh,
in.
right. It's nice
Yeah,
and
it's
long.
long.
It's got a 3-point turn
Yep.
spot.
Yeah.
It's good. But
Good
it's funny
practice.
too because it's like, don't look at the camera when you're backing up.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Use your
Use your
mirrors.
mirrors.
And our last two kids, we didn't have a vehicle that had that.
Yeah.
So it was like you had to use your mirrors.
Only
And-
now.
And now
do I
George is
have
like,
one.
she's driving and she's like,
Yeah.
first thing she does when she gets in the car,
The music.
100% grabs the
Yeah.
And do
auxiliary.
you allow that then? Because I'm struggling. Like Levi, of course, wants to have music, and I want to be like no music.
Yeah. For what we're doing, I mean, it's probably going to be different when we're on the road, but when we're just kind of I'm a bad dad, and you should be worried because you park at the arena parking lot. I let her kind of boot around the parking lot from time to time. We've done some figure eights in that parking lot.
Cool.
And right, I mean, put your music on if it relaxes you or whatever. And I mean,
as a former driver instructor, there's a difference of opinion on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say no music, but eventually you're not going to be in that seat with them.
Right.
And what are they going to do? So
Right.
some would say, you know, there's an argument to be made for, you know, reasonable volume because, you know, there's a teaching point there where they still have to be able to hear emergency vehicles. So
Yes.
maybe you do let them have the music on, but like you say, keep it quiet, right?
Right.
I'll be right as a volunteer in 20 years. There's definitely people you pull up on behind them. And
No
they
clue.
are oblivious.
Yep, no clue.
Yeah.
They're not checking their mirrors. They're not hearing it, right? And then you pass them in the truck, in the
Yep.
fire truck. That's not a quiet vehicle.
Nope.
And you can hear the bass.
Oh, for
from
sure.
their
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah,
permeating
yeah.
up into the cab, and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my god,
How their eardrums aren't blown, I don't know. I can feel the bass
Yeah.
vibrating through my
Sure,
body as
sure,
I
yeah.
walk by.
I'm
How
sure
are-
there's
how
damage
are they
done.
not damaging their ears.
Yeah.
right?
And there's also like, you know, if somebody puts on their brakes and the tires squeal ahead of you and you don't hear that,
You
then
don't
you
know.
can't react as rapidly. You have to wait till you visually see it. Like there's lots of reasons, but you're right. If they're going to put it on anyway, you're better to teach them how to do it in a
You
good
know,
way
appropriate
that's going to
volume,
be
and
relatively
yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you set it up,
Yeah.
you get it started, and once you put that vehicle in drive, you don't touch it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, not encouraging any kind of distracted driving or anything like that. But yeah.
No looking at the girls
Oh.
as
Yeah.
you're driving by. We just about rear-ended somebody. He's like, I see his head turning. There's this
What are you looking at?
girls going down the sidewalks. Like, stop looking. You can't do that. You're going to rear-end the car.
Dad, it's called situational awareness. Yeah, wrong situation,
You should be
kid.
happy that I noticed that.
Yeah, that's
Look at me. I'm doing two things at once. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
So and then I think another time you were telling me you were trying to get some frogs across the border. yeah, you were gonna like
That totally didn't work out.
did not.
Yeah.
So ideally,
I'm going to assume that got shut down before you got to the border.
Well, no, I was trying to get them shipped. So I'm really interested in like cutting edge technologies.
Sure.
And so I was learning a lot about gene editing
Yes.
and CRISPR technology, where they can, you know, either cut out a gene or add a gene. And so
Okay, I got to stop you for
Yeah.
a second because
Yeah.
when Scott told me,
you thought I was talking about crispy squares, didn't you?
no,
you
What
said CRISPR.
Yeah,
So
he
he
said
said-
CRISPR.
he's like CRISPR technology. I'm like, the drawer in the refrigerator.
The CRISPR, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right? No.
I'm sorry. No,
Yeah.
so
So
please-
it's really
please enlighten me because I
it's
find this fascinating.
unbelievably
Yeah.
cool, man. Like the things that are happening, whether, you know, some people don't like genetic modification, etc. It's all that aside, the stuff that they have figured out to do is so cool. So the very simple explanation is there's a particular protein called Cas9
Sure.
that actually you can give it the specifics and it will go to the DNA of a cell and it will
Yeah.
snip out a part of the DNA, the exact part that you
Yeah.
tell it to.
Really
Yeah. And
That's
then you can
fascinating.
have it insert a different piece
interesting.
in as well.
See, that leads very much into what I did today.
You got bit by a radioactive spider.
I did not get bit by a radioactive
Uh.
spider. I had a lovely conversation with the genetics lab at PRHC.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, right, if you're not aware, I got the fancy word for it. I have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Oh,
Myopathy.
myopathy. Thank you, Wes.
You're welcome.
So, ideally, right, my left ventricle muscle is enlarged. Please don't tell my mortgage company. They do not know I have a heart condition.
What? We can't tell
Well,
them
they do
Scotty's
now.
Got
Yeah.
a, Scotty's got a big heart.
Yeah, ideally,
In more
when I
ways than one.
remortgaged, I was not diagnosed. I am now diagnosed. So when I go to remortgage, it's going to cost me more. But that's
Really?
okay. But yeah, it's cool. And then they talk about
Sure.
did a little family history
Yep.
and kind of do the breakdown and then kind of ask about some situational things with you. And they're like, okay, well, if you want to, we'll book you some blood work and we'll take 2 vials. We'll send it off to Ottawa and we'll 23andMe you and we'll get back to you in 12 weeks. And we'll be able to tell you if your heart condition is genetic or if your heart condition is just something that has come along through just natural selection, right? Which is cool, right? Because and then she's like, right, you got 19 genes it could be, or and then if it's 2 bad genes, and I'm like, oh, I don't want the 2 bad genes, right? And she's like, well, ideally no, but I mean, she broke it down, really simplified it, and that it's a dominant trait, and it's a 50-50 chance that I could pass it on to the kids, and then if I actually come back genetic, that maybe my parents should get tested. And then let their siblings know.
Sure.
It was a really cool conversation, but as
That's
you say, but this is the part, right? And at the tail end, she's like, so we're either going to know you have it, you don't, or you're going to be an enigma. So in all this, millions of versions of people's genetic material that they've sampled and looked at, there's still a uniqueness that they haven't categorized.
The missing link, man.
In the human genome, right?
Yeah, of course.
And she says, basically, right, we just, we'll put your case on the shelf and we'll review it in 3 years and see what's going on.
If something's come up
that's new or different or somebody's done a study. And so, I mean, it's like, right, as you say.
Well, and the next step, though, is, you have the gene that causes this. Yeah. Let's edit that out.
Cut it out.
They're doing that. There's certain types of blindness, childhood blindness that comes on and that can and has been reversed using CRISPR editing. And it's, they're already doing it on a few very select situations. Sure. It has to be approved by a judge. It has to go through a lot of stuff to make this happen, but it's totally possible.
So wait, I don't want to sound like an idiot, but where's the leading center for this technology? Like, are we talking North America, the UK, other?
It's been all over the place, and there's been a lot of. It's hard to know like where the coolest stuff is coming from because anyone who does anything a little rogue gets all the attention. Like there was a guy in Russia who did groundbreaking work and then got thrown in the gulag basically because he broke all the rules, right? And he thought, but I did this cool groundbreaking thing and now and they're like, that's cool, thanks, but you're still going to jail. But a lot of it is in the US, but it's just mired in all the political, ethical questions surrounding it,
well, I mean, on some level, isn't everything political?
I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
But the frogs.
Yes.
So there was a really cool experiment to be able to make frogs grow a greater amount of muscle mass. So you could basically turning on their growth gene so that they would grow super muscular and could jump really high.
Really?
So Dave was gonna start a frog racing.
So I wanted to do that test, but getting the stuff was just too hard to get it across the border.
I guess.
So I gave up on that. I had to go with making bacteria glow green.
Right.
And that was very cool. But that's all I've been able to do.
Right.
And your kids win the science fair every year.
That's right. I never thought of that.
But at the end of the day, it caught my attention that, that's how many months ago? That's more than 6 months, 7 months. And it's like, that's stuck in my head as a good morning conversation with Dave. He's like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, what's CRISPR?
What's CRISPR?
What do and have this conversation at Tim Hortons. And that it sticks, that I can bring it up today.
No, that's a perfect place to have it because then you get everybody in the line going, "What the fuck is with that?"
What are they talking about?
Yeah, pop
frogs, CRISPR. They've got frogs in their CRISPR.
Yeah. But I mean, it's very entertaining, and I've always enjoyed our morning conversations, Dave.
Going back to your thing though, the blood thing, I would love to get all the blood markers mapped out to know to have. I can't remember the company that did it, but those guys that did the blood work on Ozzy Osbourne and figured out that he's connected to Cro-Magnon Man,
right?
directly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
so much
especially
there.
as a kid from an adoptive parent, you know, where I have one adoptive parent who was very tight-lipped about where they came from. Like, sure, there's ancestry and all that stuff, but I mean, it's not the same as like, no, here's where your genetic markers say you come from. I would love to know that.
Man, maybe you should, you know, I'll get it for you for Christmas. 23andMe.
We can do an episode.
And then read
Yeah, and
back our
yeah.
genetic
Review it.
markers and tell us.
Yeah. That'd be a great reveal for a podcast.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
it'd be
pretty cool that
stressful.
you can
Maybe we'll do
know,
it on an
though.
episode of Shots.
Shots.
The fact that you can know that you're, predisposed
Yeah.
to certain things, or that you're most certainly going to
Sure.
Yeah.
have something go wrong, you can take action in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, that's 100%. And the girl's like, do you want to get the blood work done? I'm like, of course I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my children, my grandchild, I'm like, even to think going the other direction, if I could give my aunts and uncles a heads up
Yes.
that, you know, there's a possibility that you have a heart condition,
Yep.
and you can share that with your
kids.
children,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
your grandchildren.
Yeah.
See, and that's where I got stonewalled when my mother was still alive. My mother being an adopted child who knew where she came from, who had access to her adoption records, was very tight-lipped about that stuff. And I don't know if it was because of a sense of betrayal or what it was, but I can remember going to my mother in my early 20s and say, listen, I know that you're adopted and I know that my dad is not my real dad. So, you know, is there some way that we can have this conversation about where you come from? Because this has the potential to affect me and my
Right.
kids down the road. And my mom was so not capable of having that conversation.
Really?
And we never had it, you know.
And it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And I talked to my parents the other day, and, you know, they're still around, and I was like, so I'm doing this genetic test. Can I
Yeah.
get and remind me of, yeah, I know my grandpa
Family
died
history.
at this
Yeah.
time, but I can't remember, was it oriented to the cancer, or was
Right.
it oriented that he, died of a complication because of the
Right.
cancer? And, what did this grandparent die of? And what did this I mean, the lady at the on the phone was amazed because I told her that our great grandmother on my mother's side was like 104. And she's like, no. I'm like, for sure. And she's
Yeah.
like, what did she die of? I mean, like being stubborn and old. Right. And she busted her hip at 102 and was too lazy to do rehab.
Oh my.
And that's what
At
I said.
102.
Yeah,
I'd be
right?
too lazy then
I'd be
too.
like, you know what? If Helen doesn't want to get out of bed to go to rehab, let her stay in bed.
Exactly.
I guess.
But yeah, so I mean, God bless that lady. And but yeah, she was amazed at that, and she's like, but there's always those questions. Anyone in your family just dropped dead? And I'm like, nobody's dropped dead. We knew they were dying.
Yeah, we had tons of notice.
Yeah, and right, they hung on too long. So
Sure.
she's like, oh, that's all good. And yeah, all these conversations. And then she's, they start asking you about, how's your general health? And I'm like, well, I'm fat. She's like, well,
Good
okay.
icebreaker.
Yeah. But yeah, all good. But yeah, I pitter and patter and got through that and got through another day of retail. So that was exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, in other news, I'll just throw a quick shout out to our sister show, Fandom Power. If you haven't, by the time this goes up, we'll be a few episodes into that. So make sure you check out our new little sub show we're working on. It's Fandom Power Presents the Fandalorian, where you can tune in and check out our weekly reactions to each new episode of The Mandalorian as it airs on Disney Plus this
So
October.
this
So,
is your opinion.
yeah, coming October 31st.
So they'll all be excited.
Yeah, so well, I'm hoping so.
Episode 1 was so
I
good.
am so
Episode
hoping
2
so.
was so good.
Yeah. No, I think what's going to happen is, episodes are going to air on Friday nights. So the intent is I'm going to watch the episode at least, well, hopefully twice. And then Saturday morning, I'm going to get up. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do a reaction show on, sort of thoughts and feelings about that episode and where we think the show is going. So,
Like in the
Yeah.
AM.
yep, quite possibly. I have to work that out with the co-host, and I'm still working on getting a third voice for that one. So,
And you're going to get up in the AM?
Shh. Yes, if
Okay.
I set,
But if
if I
he's
set an alarm,
excited,
Yeah.
if I set an alarm, I can be diligent about it.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I'm excited.
You're excited to see if I can keep a timing.
I'll do a drive-by and be like, didn't look like it happened today. Yeah, November 1st. I'll drive by and be like, no, Wes. And then I'll send you a little wake-up text.
Oh, well, thank you. And you won't get it on my phone because I keep the ringer off. So one of our traditions here on Hanging at the Barbershop, Dave, is you got any side projects going on you want anybody to know about?
No. Well, I review the latest episode of Gilmore Girls every Sunday. No. I don't have anything going on other than just selling pet stuff, but I sell it in the U.S., so...
Are you not in the Canadian market?
No,
you're not. Okay.
No, we are not able to get it approved. Health Canada is a total stickler.
Wow.
And even though it's all just essential oils based, they won't
Voodoo
approve
witchcraft.
it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Voodoo witchcraft. Right. So, we sell exclusively in the U.S. and so we can't sell it here, unfortunately. Which
I'd like to say that at some point we're going to have a U.S. based audience. So why don't you tell people where they can find you anyway?
Yeah. All right. It's trulysensible.com. And, check it out.
Man, thanks so much for coming, Dave.
Yeah. Well, next time, you have to have me back next time because we didn't get to bonobo chimps or human cheese.
Oh, you had so many pre-talkers. We're going to talk about Alanis Morissette.
Oh, and Alanis. Yeah.
Which is very interesting. She likes to sue people. We're going to talk about Twinkies.
Yeah, Twinkies.
How they're always disappointing. You think?
Well,
they're
listen,
gonna be great.
we're going to do a cooking episode, and I've already picked out a recipe for that. So we should bring Twinkies in on that one.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. All right.
And Dave can be our test.
Yeah, of course he can. Sure.
The ketchup cake.
The Great Canadian Ketchup Cake.
Ketchup cake. That sounds like it could be good.
Oh, well,
it sounds like it could be good.
I guess maybe we should cut it there.
Yeah,
right.
Well, again, Dave, thanks so much for wanting to come out and hang out and do this with us. We always appreciate the support.
That was fun.
And hope to talk to you again sometime soon.
Awesome.
Well, Scotty, that's it for me.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye for now. Hey, thanks for hanging with us at the Barbershop. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Please like and share us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date on all of our shenanigans. Hanging at the Barbershop is a Sawcast production.